Alrighty. Welcome back to the Gas Station Nation podcast. I'm your host, Isaac, and today we have a very highly anticipated guest. I posted this morning and my DMs were flooded, bro. If you would introduce yourself and tell me who you are.
Yep. I'm Matt, Lost Leaf owner, grower, designer, all that stuff for Lost Leaf. It's just me and my wife, so nobody else that's even really in the business right now. And it's just a passion project, I feel like, at this point. So
okay, good to know. And I mean, bro, you say you and your wife, I talk about micro batch. One of the things that I first saw whenever I moved up here that was like, I gotta try that, was you had posted on your story that only 2 human hands had ever even been in contact with the flower. So like, tell me a little bit about a micro batch, just for those who don't know what that actually is.
So it's basically like just trying to recreate, in a sense, what we used to do back in, where the caregiver days were really like popping and stuff. Like back then, it was just one grower really that was really kind of taking care of the garden and whatnot. Obviously people kind of like started to work their way up to like having a decent warehouse and whatnot, and they'd start getting more hands in there or whatever. But I think that everybody kind of knows that there is a point of limitation where you start getting more hands in the situation, whether they're not, they don't have the same passion as you or whatever. It's just there's a limit to the quality when you start introducing more hands. So we just kind of stayed small. We were always about the mantra of like, the quality is going to be first. We know we're not going to be able to outrun any of these big guys with volume and stuff like that.
Not the goal though. Sounds like
it's not the goal. It never was the goal, and it was very disheartening to see everybody go through that just giant crash that happened. Everybody's got right into the market in the beginning, and it was just, everything was great. Everybody was getting these badass prices, and then it was just fucking tanked, and and a lot of people didn't survive because at the end of the day, they weren't willing to make the sacrifice to be able to push through that and to have the faith in their own brand to be able to like say, okay, I'm just going to keep on going on this, and I have faith that it's going to work out in the end.
Yeah.
And it sucks because I worked with so many people, man. Like I've been consulting for, I don't know, a long time now at this point. And like I'd consulted for a lot of caregivers here in Michigan, and like got them up to a point where, shit was fucking banging, dude. Like the gardens were doing great and shit, but like when the branding isn't there, it just doesn't work out, at the end of the day, if you're just a bulk thing, so.
No, I said the other day, stopping, and this is a quote from Henry Ford, I believe, to my core, but he said, stopping spending money on advertising. Stopping, your watch to save time. Yeah. It just does not work.
No.
And especially like you said, whenever that crash came. Now, you talk about, you've been consulting and that stuff for a while, so how long has your background in cannabis been? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I started smoking when I was probably like 15 or something like that. The first time was when one of my good friends in high school died, and we all had a party and fucking bunch of 151 and smoking a bunch of weed, and then woke up in like a chicken suit or some shit.
Wow. Wow.
Started from there, really didn't like
wow, that went from point A to like point Z so fast right there, bro. I mean, I went from like crashing down, like I'm sorry about the friend, obviously that's always terrible, and then waking up in a chicken suit.
It was a wild night. The reason it went from point A to point Z so fast is I just obviously don't fucking remember hardly anything from that night. So
I know.
Just little interactions with my friends, slowly building on the whole smoking thing and stuff, and then got to the point where I started buying stuff and just so I could smoke for free, just like I feel like everybody fucking does, right?
Preach.
And started to realize that like the interactions that I had with people were always the best when it was about good weed. when the weed was good, it was always the best interaction. Everybody was having fun. I was having fun.
Yeah.
It was great. When I gave somebody a seeded fucking bag or some bullshit, it was fucking not a good time for anybody.
No,
so, like,
you're right about that, bro. It's that relationship.
Yeah.
It's literally the handoff.
Yeah.
That is...
And well, I mean, I would smoke with a lot of the people too. You
Yeah.
know, like they would come over, smoke, and we'd smoke what I was gonna fucking give them, and then you know, and whenever it was good, it was fucking good. So I was like, all right, well, how do I make this better? So started, you know, like the laws changed where, you know, we were allowed to be caregivers and stuff like that. And a couple years kind of passed by. I had my medical card. I was going to Lansing to get stuff from growers over there and bringing it back over this way, which this way was like Wayland, by the way.
Okay,
so,
yeah.
About halfway in between Grand Rapids and Kalamazoo.
Yeah.
That's where I grew up most of my life, and bringing stuff back here, and it was all good shit, man. Like in the beginning, there was some shit that was just, it was fire, man. Like these growers fucking, there was people, you know, they referred to them as like the mad scientists and shit.
Yeah.
I was just like, man, this is fucking cool, you know, like this is so much better than it was even just a couple years ago when the laws opened up and shit. And then so I've always been working at pizza places. My family owns pizza places.
Oh, right on. That's my favorite food. You're speaking my language now, bro.
So I was always working with them in the beginning, and then had a little bit of like a time where I pulled back from their business. I moved back down here, was working at a pizza place, and the guy that I was working with, we were both just heavy fucking stoners, dude. We smoked, and we would smoke. He would be slinging shit to people. I'd be slinging shit to people.
In the whip? In
the fucking pizza place.
Yeah, bro. Absolutely, bro.
It was just a little mom and pop shop or whatever, you know, like
bro.
people would be coming in and be sliding into the pizza boxes and shit.
It goes hand in hand, bro. You get, you know, weed, and then you get the munchies, and then
no, it was perfect. It was the perfect combination. He eventually at one point was just like, man, like, do you want to start up a grow, you know? And I was like, all right, yeah, fuck it, let's go, you know? And I started doing mad research, dude. I got into it so heavy. I was just like...
And what time was around this?
This was probably like 2011 was when we were like talking about it. We finally got it going, probably like closer to 2012, I want to say.
So then you became the mad scientist that you were just talking about.
Okay. So we started in his basement, and we did that for probably a better part of like a year and a half or something like that. Just had like a little 10 lighter type setup, you know. It wasn't anything crazy. I've never gotten to the point of doing like a fucking crazy warehouse or anything.
Right.
The amount of lights that I have right now is the most amount of lights that I've ever run, period.
Wow.
So it was, you know, in the beginning it was, dude, it's just so much. It just fucking, that first run, and I know so many people can attest to this, the first fucking run, you're just not ready for it, and you just fucking, dude, it was so bad. So
I feel like
much
that's
learning.
A patient thing.
Oh yeah, totally,
thing, you know?
Totally.
Yeah, because that comes with anything. I mean, I tell people you can't pick up something the first time and expect to be good at it. If you are, count yourself blessed.
Absolutely.
You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But like that like gold tier, that standard that everyone thinks about for their industry, like they didn't get there just by luck. Like you have to become the mad scientist.
And a lot of it is experience, man. And that's where I've learned a lot of this along the way. Is I've always been very like technical and, you know, scientific about things that I'm gather data and look at the variables, look at the data points, all that stuff. I really try to like relate that to what I'm seeing results wise, but a lot of the times, man, it's just doesn't, you fucking can read 100 books. It's not going to translate to actually being in the garden and doing it firsthand. So we learned a lot of those fucking lessons very hard, very fast, but picked back up from it, and eventually, you know, got to the point where over a year, you know, we were like, all right, we're growing some fucking fire now, dude. Yeah. This is cool. This is like getting to a good place. And my buddy, at that point, he got into some bad shit and ended up basically taking everything, and it was a really bad exit from the partnership type deal. I had put everything that I had into that for, you know, over a year, and all the genetics that we had, we were pheno hunting everything from seed and all that stuff back in the day, and this whole deep water culture setup that we had, all these lights, everything, just fucking took it and was like, you know, fuck you, basically.
I got a buddy who's kind of going through that right now, actually.
It's a very common story, unfortunately.
Yeah, up here in the industry. He moved all the way up here, got in, and I mean, it's just crushing stuff. Actually, this is his stuff here.
Oh, hell yeah.
Check that out. Shout out Mario.
Mario, hi, Leah.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. That's the new Pink Panther.
This is nice.
Yeah, and but he's kind of been going through some stuff like that. So what advice would you give to people out there, you know, after being through something like that?
Does it have like trop in it or something?
I'd assume so.
That's nice.
Yep.
With the partnerships, bro, it's so fucking hard. It's
One-man team, run it.
man, it's just one of those things where like I mean, trying to find somebody that's trustworthy, that you can figure that out. I mean, like, I'm a pretty good judge of character, but like,
Yeah.
I mean, how are you a judge a character of how somebody's going to act when things go bad?
Right.
Because things are gonna probably go bad at some point.
Yeah. When the pressure gets hotter, how do they react?
It's almost like you have to, like, if I was going to hop into business with somebody, I would have to hop into it with somebody who I've already gone through the shit with almost. I've already kind of seen how they act in those situations. Like, that would probably be my best advice, I guess, because it's those points that people show their true colors and like shit can get really fucked up, and like it's already bad because you're in a bad position probably, you know, like you had a bad crop or something like that, and carrying over onto the next one to try to figure out like how to pick up the pieces and how to make it work to get to that next point or whatever. And that's where people typically you know, will fuck you over and just make things exponentially worse.
Yeah. So after you, I guess, then went from, you know, losing the partner and all that, and like you said, a lot of genetics and all that stuff. How did you reposition during that time to, you know, really start building your foundation of where you're at now?
Okay, so from there it went to I just went back to selling.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, well, fucking, I know how to do this. So.
I know how to do this real well.
Like, all right, we're gonna go back to this, and I kept on working at the pizza place for a while, you know, just, and I eventually got to the point where I was growing in a tent with a buddy that I was living with or whatever. Just went kind of scaled back for me. That's how it was.
Yeah.
Is I scaled back, kept on doing it, kept on pheno hunting. Eventually moved up north, and I did move up north because my family owns the pizza places up there. So we were kind of like, my wife and I met at a pizza place down here, which is funny. We went to high school together and then didn't really talk or anything for quite a few years, and then we met at the same pizza place in our hometown after I had moved back, which is weird. And so,
and Michigan's not a small state. So.
No, yeah, it's a very, very strange story. I feel like but we ended up moving up there, and we had a house that we were renting out or whatever, and it was a couple old people, and so I started adding first tent, second tent, third tent, fourth tent, started building up my little tent city, you know. I'm like, all right, you know, harvest, pull it back in, reinvest, pull it back in, reinvest, you know, and was doing a lot of pheno hunting there and stuff, and then I don't know, man, it was all of a sudden out of nowhere, it just kind of happened, dude. It was like one of those things where the dispensary laws kind of started coming out and stuff, and my wife has always been on the side of things where she tries to kind of reel me in and like keep me on the, you know, up and up the good side of things, the legal side of things. I'm not gonna say good.
That's my girlfriend. Like, I start thinking thoughts. She's like, Isaac, we moved up here for a reason.
Like, all right. You know, she keeps me tied down that way, keeps me down to earth. But like, I don't know. Those rules came out. We were at my grandpa's at one point, and he lives up in fucking like Irons, which is the middle of fucking nowhere. That's kind of around where I am. And we were just talking about it one day, and we came across this property. My wife literally just looked up a property with like a pole barn. It was the first fucking one that she found.
Isn't that glorious?
And we were just like, it was, yeah. I mean, looking back on it now, you're just like, how in the fuck? Like,
shout out Google.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Like, so we, put the offer down on the house and stuff, and like I'd started going to like the meetings and stuff. So I went and I did everything by myself from like the township level. So I had to go to all the meetings.
I remember us talking about this, bro. You petitioned hard.
Yeah, man. It was. I mean, it took a year and a half. We got held up. There was a whole bunch of shit, man. It was like the first time I went in there. I'll never forget it, dude. It's fucking, nobody in that room was under 55, 60.
Yeah,
I'm the
kids
only
have
one in
pets.
there, and I'm a kid, dude,
Yeah.
at this point. Like, I look like a kid. I'm like 34, but I look like I'm fucking...
Shit, wouldn't have guessed
like,
that either.
Exactly,
So.
that's what I'm saying. So, I get up and I stand up, and I'm like, basically like, yo, can I start growing weed here? And they're like... there was people were fucking pissed.
Blood pressures went through the roof.
Yeah, they're like, you want to do what here?
Yeah.
Like, so, it was kind of split. The board was like, 50-50. I ended up actually winning over a couple of the people on the board, getting them on my side and that kind of stuff, because I let them come into the grow. So I had a caregiver grow at that point. I basically moved into the house. And I started I had like a little six lighter or something like that going.
Okay.
Everything was super clean, intense, and stuff like that because I knew that I was going to retrofit the building. So I didn't want to do anything crazy, build out rooms or anything like that without having that final piece in my mind or whatever, So I let them in, the one lady, and she honestly couldn't even get back into some of the spots because it was just kind of tight quarters or whatever, and like... She literally completely changed her mind, dude. I mean, overnight was like, wow, this looks like a lab setup and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, were you expecting like guns to be everywhere? Or
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Which is
very
somehow how
clearly
those
she
big
was.
facilities still operate.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So, did all that. The guy across the street from me did not like what I was doing at all. Said that I was, he said that he was allergic to the smell of cannabis.
I've heard this from another township recently too. Had a guy saying, and he was like 2 miles away.
Yeah. It wasn't even within the range where he should have been able to say anything. Like there's a range, I think it's like, I don't know, within 700 feet or something like that, that they're allowed to be like, if they say no to this, then you have to like go somewhere else or whatever, type thing. So.
What's crazy to me is there's people out there who don't like the smell of barbecue.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I know some that are. And, someone barbecues, that's their neighbor.
Yeah.
Or even a few houses down, even living in the country, you'll smell that. Mm-hmm. What do you say to, like...
It's a stigma at the end of the day, bro.
It is.
And I absolutely hate everything that has to do with the stigma. It's always just, it's followed all of us, like, since the beginning, So, it's just another one of those things. But, man, this guy fucking held us up for an entire year. He went to the bingo hall and the township and literally told all of the people there, all of the elderly people, that I was like worshiping Satan and doing all this crazy shit, and was like, and it was about the zoning. It wasn't even like, because he couldn't technically say no because the board had passed it. But the reason that he was able to file a referendum is what he did, was because of my zoning, because I had to redo my entire zoning because it was part commercial, part residential, and we had to rezone it to be either agricultural or industrial.
So when you say rezoning, for those people who don't know what that process looks like, because I know it's an extensive process, what does that even look like? I assume it's a ton of paperwork.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's you filing an application in the beginning, and then after that, you're going to the zoning board, and then it has to go back to the township board, and then it has to go back to the zoning board. And
dude, there's so many hands in that.
Yeah. And it's months every time. Every time that this happens, it's like, okay, file the application, wait months. Fucking go to the zoning board, wait months. Go to the township board, wait months. Fucking literally, it's insane, and that's why government takes so long, to make decisions on stuff. So,
too many hands in the cookie jar.
Yeah. So this guy held us up. It was an entire year, and man, the craziest part about it is that we had to get it put to a vote for the zoning to go agricultural for my property. And we won by 6 votes.
So it was close.
6 votes, dude. Like, and I was myself and my wife were 2 of those votes.
Thank God.
So, like,
but that, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't think I've ever heard of anything like that close. Like being like in terms of single digits.
Yeah, bro. Wow. They must have been. Yeah. Had you lost, I would have been. I want to recount.
Yeah.
That being that close, bro. Yeah. That is insanity.
So we got it all overturned and stuff, and luckily we were able to go on and do everything. But yeah, man, that was an intense learning curve, an intense time, just like having to deal with all that while still, like I was still working a full-time job and doing all that stuff. And like, I was kind of commuting to my job at that point because we had moved out to the middle of nowhere to do this and stuff. So that was part of the reason that we did move out into the middle of nowhere. So like, all right, this is actually like one of the poorest townships in Portis County, one of the poorest townships in the entire state. So maybe they'll be all right with it. Maybe, we'll be like, all right, well, you get some money out of this and stuff. And it ended up getting to the point where they were like just dragging their feet on shit so much that I was like, all right, I'm going to do this either way. I have a caregiver license. Right. So I'm going to grow in this building. Right. Do you want money from it? Do you want me to be under the watching eye of the fucking state? Like, are you okay with that? Or like... So after I brought that up, it was just everything just kind of started working. They're like, oh yeah, okay. Well,
like micro batch for a reason. I can do this one way or another.
That too, just trying to let them know that like I'm not trying to fucking come in here and start some giant facility and just start dumping toxic waste into your places or some shit. Like I'm trying to do
hiring
this
and
right,
laying off people, like, hiring and laying off consistently too, bro. Like
man,
that doesn't help anyone either.
No.
You need stability in townships like that. So.
Exactly. So. It all worked out in the end, but that's kind of the story of how we got to where we are. I mean, that's I guess awesome, in a sense, bro. But
that is awesome. Okay, so I told you earlier, I've got a. Did you watch the Rico podcast all the way?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So did you see what I'm about ready to ask you?
Yeah, about the harvest date.
Yeah. Yeah. Check it out.
Yeah. This is from like my first batch of Lou. Yeah. Yeah. What the fuck? Okay, it's funny because I don't even have this batch.
That's awesome. Like, I'm still sitting on 2 jars of the original wash of that too from the rosin.
Yeah, dude, it's still fucking.
Is that not? Yeah. Like crazy?
Yeah. So
would you tell everybody the harvest date?
Yeah, the harvest date. Well, actually, I will clarify this because this was a typo.
Okay.
So there's no way that I was running Lou in 2023 in January. So this had to have been a typo on my end from going from 2022 or 2023 to 2024 because this is harvest date was 1/16.
Okay, so it's not as old as I thought.
No.
Okay. But still it's
it's what 9 months old now? Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm telling you that's fresher than any other like pre-pack I'm gonna buy in the world.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I mean, part of it is these Myrons, dude. Like, I mean, people talk about the like. I don't know, dude. I'm a grower, and like, I when I look at things that I'm gonna use, I just want to take into account what my experience is because I feel like at this point, like I like good weed and shit, and like so I feel like when I go into looking at how this does in this jar versus a bag. And I sat there and I did it so many different times with like the Grove bags and stuff like that. And like, I know that there's a lot of stuff around the Groves, with keeping the terps around and stuff like that. And to me, I just feel like these Myrons hold up the integrity of the bud a little bit better.
Travel wise too, you don't end up with smush bud and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things for me too is that like the bags, you're just not sure what's going to happen to them when they get to the dispo and stuff, and it just gives me a little bit better security of like, okay, it's in a fucking hard case. They can't just smash the shit out of it or whatever. You can't set something on top of it. So, and then it was also, for me, I feel like the terps hold up better in the Myrons. Just personally, I mean, I've had some feedback from people that over time with the Groves saw some where it was kind of drying out a little bit more than people would like and stuff. So I was like, All right, I was using groves for a long time, but and I still cure in groves, but yeah, the Myrons are the way for me now, and
I ain't gonna lie. So, I mean, our first interaction, our connection, was over what I believe now, honest, to be a jar issue.
Yeah.
I don't know any other way around it, or a transport issue. Because, like I said, I kept my next batch I bought. I kept this one. I was like, all right, I'm gonna run it and see how long that this will even like be good for. I was expecting, honestly, after my first reaction with that jar, bro, like it's gonna be a week or so.
Yeah.
And no. Like, what?
Yeah. You're talking 10 months.
So then
that's crazy.
all of the other ones that are in front of you now, I've had the same experience with. Now, honestly, I mean, I reuse the jars. Like, why would I not?
Yeah.
They're that good. So
yeah, man.
Especially if you get some fresh stuff, and like this one here, I don't have a label on, right? So like, it's nice to put it in there, burp it every once in a while, and bro, it's just...
The cure, I feel like too, I think the cure is slept on with a lot of people, man. Like, I think that a lot, it's funny because I did that poll a while back with, people asking about what their experience was with the cure and stuff, and like the growers, it was so fucking split where the growers were all just like, nope, it has to be fresh, and all of the consumers were like, no, I actually prefer it cured a little bit more. And, I think a lot of that too is the growers do get to see it in the different stages type thing. But like from the consumer side of things too, I think that they get to see it a lot more like just like this. I don't have that batch. Like I just said, you have that batch sitting right here. Yeah. So I can't compare that because I don't have that batch anymore. Available. And I'm always, and the growers, I mean, me at least, I'm always on the fucking new shit. I have to, QC in every batch and stuff like that. So I'm on the new shit every single time. And I'm not really worried about like going back and trying to like re-QC something that's already, a couple months old at this point. So, but the feedback from people, man, is consistently that, I mean, it kind of varies per pheno, like.
Which is to be expected.
Yeah. There's certain
honestly,
terps that just like don't really stick around that well. Like Panda is one of those that really is fucking like strange because in the beginning, like if you get Panda fresh, she'll have a little bit more of like some sweet, the candy, the Z a little bit more. But as it cures a little bit more, that sweetness kind of comes out of it. That Z maintains, but
no, I'm with you. I definitely have noticed that because I bought 2 jars of the same Panda from the same batch, and one was sitting on the shelf a little longer than the other, but I mean, and I had around a little bit longer. I've also noticed, like we've talked before about like Starberry and things like that, where it's like, yo, hey, how you're smoking these things is a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
So that's what, like, as shameless plug, as I've been doing the reviews and blogs and stuff on the website, I've been listing the way that I'm intaking it because like otherwise no one's gonna know. I mean, down to the like gauges I'm using. Yeah. So dude, it's been well into the time, so if you want spark it up, I need to get you a lighter. Commercial break. Hey everyone, if you have not checked out our website yet, what are you waiting on? We have got a ton of new blog content and reviews up on there and all the new merch. Check it out, gasstationofficial.com, and let's get back to this podcast.
This is the Cheddar Z.
Cheddar Z?
Yeah.
Bro, I've been waiting for somebody to come out with a cheese strain.
So this is a pretty good mix in between. So the cross on this is cheese / Biker Kush by Skittles by ZZ.
Yeah.
From Karma. And so he's got access to all those fucking heavy cheeses. And like, this one's very unique. It's like a really good mix of the two. It's definitely not straight cheese, so if you're hoping for straight cheese,
wait a little bit.
I don't want to disappoint you. Okay. If you want to get the nose.
Ooh, yeah, I'd love to, bro. Yeah, no, absolutely. I've been waiting for somebody to come out with a strong cheese again. I feel like the market does like cycles and trends just like clothing does.
Yeah.
And now that everyone's been requesting OGs, if you seek after some OGs, you can definitely find them out there. So getting back into the market now, I was like, all right, I bet cheese is about ready to come back up. And I found myself kind of wanting it after I got those OGs. And I was like, man, we're just missing the cheese from like that same era. And now it's starting to come through, and Trops and stuff are starting to wash out a little bit.
Man, Trops are definitely washing out. It's not a good day if you're
a trop
running orange terps. I feel like not the
Facts. It's too played out, bro. Everybody's doing it.
Yeah, and it's a good terp, and a lot of people like it and whatever, and like that's why I keep on coming out with new flavors, is because like, not everybody's gonna like everything, and but if the weed is good in general and like is cultivated well, then I'll let the customers do that. Like you can figure out which ones you like the best. And batch to batch, it's gonna change. Just like these next 3 batches that I got coming out, bro. It's gonna be significantly different. Like the Lametta that you had from a couple rounds ago is not gonna be the Lametta that is gonna be coming out here on the next drop or the drop after that, because I'm figuring shit out. I do not stay in one spot when it comes to like cultivation. Like, I'm always fucking changing how I'm doing shit, and like that. I feel like that stresses a lot of people out, just in terms of like,
I was gonna ask
if it was a normal business, like they want SOPs, they want things to be laid out in front of them. Like, how the fuck am I supposed to do this?
How much variation of change do you see batch to batch happen, I assume you always are aiming for some sort of consistency, but maybe you could speak a little bit about that consistency that you judge through, since things do change so much as you're, I shouldn't say so much, but change as you're learning, because you don't stop learning.
Yeah.
If you did, you'd get lost. So just like anybody else in the game. So.
I just try not to make too many changes at once. There are times when I have, so I'm not going to say that I haven't done that, because I definitely fucking have. I feel like everybody's probably done that as a grower at this point, but for me, it's like I just try to make incremental changes to where I can really kind of actually look back on the batch right before that versus the batch that is coming out after that, and try to see, okay, did this change? Did this make a change? And did that plant health change actually translate through to the actual smoke or not? And it's all just based on personal experience for me. And like, that's one of the hardest things about cannabis and like cultivation and trying to like quantify all this stuff, is there's no tests for this. There's no tests for flavor. There's no tests for smoothness. There's no test for any of that stuff. And like, unfortunately, that's where like, I think on the connoisseur side of things, I lean more towards flavor and smoothness and that kind of stuff rather than I do effects, because I think that the effects are kind of A, subjective, and B, they can change from person to person. It might affect me way differently than it affects you.
That's why, dude, we'll tell you, like, I'm sure you read the review on the Cherry Lametta. Like, I'll tell you how I felt off of it, but when you look at the grading, I can't put that in there.
No.
Because someone with no tolerance or someone with a great tolerance would come along and tell me, yo, bro, this stuff ain't hitting, or that's the highest I've ever been in my life.
Yeah.
It's so subjective of where you're at in your life and how much you're actually smoking. That's a great point.
Absolutely. And it sucks because it's a hard conversation to have for a lot of people, because a lot of people are, really, really tied on to that effect, and that's the main thing that they care about. They'll say, oh, well, fuck the flavor or whatever, fuck the smoothness, I'm just trying to get high type shit. And it's like, okay, well, that's fine for the 90%, but, when you get up until the top tier type stuff, we're really trying to like actually figure out how to quantify these differences and shit. Jesus, you're knocking shit over.
Oh, good, bro.
Man, this thing is fucking...
dripping. Bro, it's definitely good that you say that. And I think there's also another stigma that comes along to it. You can't almost tell some people that their tolerance is not as high as yours.
Oh, yeah.
And them not get offended in some sort of way.
No, they're gonna get offended, especially if you're on the older side, is what I've kind of noticed. Like if you're a little bit of an older head, exactly.
Years.
And then this like it comes back to the THC percentages and shit, and like, bro, like
God, I know you and I could speak for days on that.
Sure. Absolutely, dude.
Fuck THC percentage.
It's funny to me because you know, a lot of the labs have, like, over the years, have worked with different labs and stuff like that, and they always try to, like, talk about it, like, oh, is the percentage okay and stuff like that? And I'm like, now, you know, for the last couple of years or whatever, like, I'm just like, I don't give a fuck what that number is, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I really don't care at the end of the day. And none of my people care. None of the people that are buying my shit for the dispos or whatever, none of them fucking care. It's not a number that... Yeah, exactly.
That's why it does a smoke Sunday, bro. It's because, like, I don't give a fuck. I just want to know whether this is something I could be like, yo, hey, you gotta check this out. That's the type of weed I want to smoke. There's other days where, bro, I don't roll up a hooter like this. You get what I'm saying? Where I'm just blasting through a day. I've been busy all day, and this is something I'm gonna come up and at home, you know, and roll up before bed or something like that. Sometimes I enjoy them with breakfast, you know. Most of the time I try to enjoy them all day, but you know, it's one of those things. I think it's more of like becoming a cigar like smoking experience.
Totally.
And people are starting to realize that I'm not just stepping out back to smoke a joint real quick. I'm smoking a joint to connect with someone and share this experience with them. So, and
then like how you're smoking it too, I think that that's something that really kind of carried over from just the era where everybody was worried, everybody was in a hurry to smoke.
Yep.
So they're fucking trying to chief down a joint, you know, and like they're not, you know, and then all of a sudden you're smoking with somebody and you're like, oh, well, why is it running like a bitch? And I'm like, oh, well, because you're fucking sitting here going,
Bro, I just had this happen. We were testing some Phenos, and there was a guy over there who is a grower. Love him to death. You get what I'm saying? Like, shout out to him. But his partner was telling me the whole time, he's like, I can't stand it whenever the joint gets to him. I'm like, why? He's like, just hit it beforehand. And I was like, okay. And it got to him, and I saw why. I mean, it was just like,
fuck,
you know.
it's ruined
and
now.
After that, bro, everyone was just passing it along, just canoeing, and bro.
Shit, dude.
Then I am not licking the side of that joint and passing. No.
You want to hit this?
Dude, I'd love to. Swap that over.
Lou?
Yeah, that's that Lou, bro. Yeah, that thing's dripping, bro. Like I said, I wanted to wait till this happened, and then I'm saving the other of it. I'm doing the hash hole.
That's nice how well it's still fucking translating, too.
That's what I thought, too, bro.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you're like, we always try to sit here and preach like, oh yeah, this is fucking fresh produce, but like, I mean, if it's fucking cultivated and stored correctly and shit, like, I mean,
if you grow fire and seek fire, you will find it.
I like that little catchphrase that seek fire.
Yeah, bro. And speaking of which, you're dropping some hoodies.
Yeah. So I just did a little run with No Mids Clothing. Shout out to him. I just reached out to a couple people. I reached out via my story, and then I had 3 people that everybody kind of continuously was tagging. It was him, this one guy. I don't even know his name right off rip. No Silly Ideas was the third one. Tat Sauce is the second one. But he owns a brand called Terps Over THC. And so he's doing a lot of like cut and sew stuff. So I'm trying to do, what I want to do is work with all 3 of these people, do like a drop of a hoodie. I want to do a long sleeve, and I want to do a hat. All just like small batch, fucking one time only shit or whatever, you know.
Oh.
And
then they're gone.
Kind of see how I like working with these people and stuff. And, you know, because it's one of those things with merch, man. Like, I've tried to run merch in the past. There's been multiple times where I've done a run of merch and I literally just never even said anything about it, never even fucking dropped it, never fucking did anything. Because I'm like, it just didn't come, it was not up to my standards. It doesn't resonate with the brand because it's just not, it's just a fucking basic ass shirt or hoodie or whatever. The placement was wrong or whatever it was. There's so many fucking issues. So that's why I'm kind of trying to like reel it back a little bit and do these smaller batch drops, you know, with these people that are...
The hoodies look quality.
Yeah, dude.
Are they embroidered, printed?
Yeah,
what are they?
No, embroidered for sure. All embroidered. And, you know, the blanks are fire.
Built to last. Dude, I'm excited for that, bro. Man, this stuff is incredible, by the way. Yeah.
That's only second run of that bitch, so I'm excited to get her back in there, get her running a little bit further. But
yeah, bro, that thing is fire. So speaking of the grow and whatnot, and what you got going on over there, how big is it now?
it's only 1,000 square feet. It's 1,000 square feet. It's 75 feet from my house, so I walk out there every morning. Usually way fucking early, but that's just how.
What's way early?
Like 5, 6.
Okay,
usually.
so you're like me.
I'm not fucking mitten master crazy. That motherfucker's out there like a beast, dude. He's out there at fucking 3, 4 in the morning. I'm just like, I wake up and I see his shit, and I'm like, motherfucker's already done a whole workout, dude. What the fuck, bro? But no, he's a beast, man. But yeah, no, it's usually an early morning type thing. If you're a grower and you've got access to the building at least, I guess it's probably a little bit different if you're working for a facility or whatever. But try to get a lot of the stuff done early, the tank mixing, all that kind of stuff, so.
It's a good little routine.
Yeah.
I like that, I don't know if you're like this, but I can't really sleep past daylight anyway. Yeah, so like 5 a.m., 6 a.m. hits, and if 6 a.m. hits, I'm like, oh shit, I'm already wasting daylight. Mm-hmm. It's a blessing and a curse, because then at the end of the day, I don't do well for sleep either. So something about managing X, Y, and Z, I'm sure you get.
Shit.
Don't worry about it, bro. We got a vacuum cleaner for a reason. So yeah, bro, how many lights are you running then, or how are you doing that?
So right now it's 24 lights, 2 12-light rooms, and my veg space is literally a giant game of Tetris.
Yeah. I love it.
It's insanity, man. The way that space operates, I could fucking nerd out on the grow tech all day long, but it's right now I've got it dwindled down a little bit because I'm on the tail end of a pheno hunt that I was running 4 packs of beans or whatever, but it's a 7-foot by 25-foot room for veg, so I'm pumping out 72 plants of production out of that every single month, while having, I think I have probably like 40 phenos in there right now.
My God, Tetris for real, yeah, bro. Real life Tetris on steroids.
And like the biggest, craziest part about it is that the timing with my setup has to just be so perfect. Like if it's not fucking like on the money, dude, it's game over. If I'm like 3 days off, it's fucking game over, because I got 8-foot ceilings and I have 2 tiers in flower. So I have 36 inches from my fucking table to my light.
Yeah, I was just about ready to ask, what problems come from running stuff that small occasionally? Like, what do you have to consistently watch out for?
In the beginning, it was just a lot of learning the vertical height restrictions.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things, like, as a grower, like, especially, like, with LEDs and shit like that, like, if you are too close to your lights, there's something with the proximity, man. Like, the plants do not like to be close to those fucking lights.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. There's something that kind of wigs out in them. The calyxes start to go all weird. And I think that a lot of people run into the issue because it ends up being a game of, okay, do I train horizontally? Or if I let it keep on going vertically, it's just literally going to grow into the lights. So if you're training horizontally, then you're creating like a wall, basically, of plant material. So nothing is getting, light down to the bottom part of the canopy or anything like that. So it ends up just being a shit show. So really for me, it was trying to learn how to like make sure that I can allow the plants to grow up vertically, naturally, without having to train them horizontally. And literally, I flip my plants in like 12 days,
Wow.
So it's like clone to veg, 12 days, instantly into flower. And if that process is off, like I said, by 3 days, it's game over. I'm in the lights and it's an issue, and I'm probably end up not gonna fucking release that shit. So.
Oh my God, yeah, wow. No, you have to be on top of shit. No wonder you're there at 6 a.m. in the morning, bro. That's
it's a lot of planning is really what it is, man.
Like
if you're not, and if you don't know those plants either, like you gotta fucking know what that plant is gonna do, and that's part of the hard thing with pheno hunting is.
Yeah.
All of these plants are fucking different. Every single pheno is different. Every single thing is gonna react differently to every single thing that you do. The environmental conditions in there. So like, when I run a pheno, like when I'm doing a pheno hunt, I mean, it takes me fucking. it takes a long time, man. So that's one thing that I feel like a lot of people don't really talk about is the time that it goes into actual pheno hunting. I mean, it takes a long fucking time from start to finish. For me, it's, I want to say at least a year, if not just over a year, because I'll run a seed, I'll let it grow out for about 3-4 weeks. I'll take cuts off of that because I don't like running things straight from seed. The variance that you see from the seed to the first generation, to the second generation, to the third generation is crazy.
They're huge, right?
The terps can be completely different. The structure can be different. The yield can be different. There's tons of things that can happen. It's crazy. Okay. So I take cuts off of that first seedling. I grow those out a little bit more. I'll take another set of cuts off of that, and then I'll flower out that as my first set. From there, obviously, you've got to flower out the entire set. That takes about 8-9 weeks, depending whatever you got. I cut it down, dry 2 weeks, cure for a good 2 weeks, I would say. So, a month after you harvest, then you've got to go through and smoke them. Yeah. And this is the part that I think a lot of people are kind of messing up on the grow side of things is that QC process within pheno hunting. I just don't understand how you can possibly nail it down over 500 different fucking phenos. Like, are you smoking those all at once? Because that's one thing that I have a problem with like competitions are doing stuff like that.
Amen.
And
Amen.
People when they're pheno hunting, they're sitting in a fucking room smoking countless joints and like really, I mean, probably the first
ripping dabs right at one after another, bro. Like,
I just don't know how you're making an actual real educated guess in terms of like where to continue with that pheno hunt. I mean, the ones are probably really going to stand out, but like I think there's probably a lot of fire getting thrown away at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, I just watched the thing. I don't know if you know who Dope as Yola is. Mm-hmm. I love that dude's content.
Been watching him for a long time.
Yeah, so he just posted the other day whenever for ZA Olympics. Shout out to him. Like, he had 140 strains they dropped off for him to judge. And he had to do it in like 3 days.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Because the competition down there, from when he posted it to when the competition was, I was like, bro, like, how do you do that? That's one thing I was happy with. Like, you can't even judge smoothness at that point because your whole palate is changed completely.
Yeah. There's obviously no way you're going to judge effect, too. I mean, even on a side-by-side, you're not going to be able to judge effect. So that's completely out the window.
It just, at that point, like, I get it. It's a flavor thing for sure. But, like, once again, like, I don't think a person who would judge wine could sit there and sip 100 wines within an hour and give you an accurate...
Nor would you want them to, especially for a competition. I mean, like, we're trying to really be serious about this. I mean, like, personally, I think that the way that the Proper Doinks guys go about it in terms of, like, the side-by-sides and stuff like that, I think that that's the way to go. It has to be done on a fresh palate. As a side-by-side, you can really tell if something is better than something else. You're going to be able to tell if the smoothness is better. You're going to be able to tell if the flavor is better. If that background noise is there, and hopefully, the background noise isn't carrying over to the other one. I guess that would probably be my main issue with it, is that if something is having so much of an aftertaste, it might be lingering over into the next one, and then are you kind of misjudging that one? But you're still going to be able to tell if which one's better in a sense, So it's difficult, man, trying to figure out like how to run a legitimate competition like that. I mean, we see them all the time. They fucking happen. I feel like every other month there's another competition where all the judges are sitting there smoking everything over the course of a few hours. And
I do like ZA Olympics in the sense that they gave the consumer a little bit more time to judge.
They stepped it up this year, man.
In that aspect, I will say that because the boxes came out, and it was like a month before judge time. Mm-hmm. So, or before like the actual, like, I guess, crowning or competition.
There was a long period of time. People could have really taken their time if they needed to.
Yeah, and that's why, like, I was able to smoke like the weed ones and like go through like day after day. You get what I'm saying? That was the first thing I'd do in the morning. Okay, I'm gonna smoke this number this morning because it's just that's fresh
awesome that
palate.
You're that serious about
like. Bro, that's my thing. Like, I can't do people injustice up here, and I feel like so much that happens. Sorry, I could preach, but
no, man, I feel it, dude.
Like, dude, when you're passionate about something like that, like, you sit here, people don't understand, like, all the different ways I've looked at how I write the blogs, how we judge that, all that, because, like, at the end of the day, like, I want to prepare for every question anyone could ever ask me, and I am open to constructive criticism all the time. I want to grow and help the consumer more. So if there's stuff in there that should be added, let's talk about adding it. Let's look at it from a pros and cons sheet, you know, like that's as simple as it is. That's what I do.
That's how it goes, man. And it's always a learning process, you know. I feel like just us as humans, you know, like we're gonna make mistakes, you know, and that's almost one of the most beautiful parts about life in general is that you fuck up and then you pick yourself up and you figure out what the fuck happened, you know, like let's move forward from this. And if you're really passionate about it, then you're going to be able to pick yourself up and learn from all those mistakes. And it's cool to see, like I said, you know, you know, I entered last year. I did not end up entering this year. And that's definitely not, like, there was no shade there or anything weird between that. It was literally just the fact that my batches are just so small that, you know, they're trying to grow that event, and so they required, you know, the 2 pounds to enter or whatever. And that's just a lot for me, you know, like, I mean, I'm fucking trying to feed my family and shit. I'm you know, trying to give up 2 pounds just to, and then I don't know what's going to happen, you know, like at the end of the day, I don't know if I'm going to win anything, and then what? I gave 2 pounds up and my, you know, family's well-being.
No, for sure, sure, bro. It's not. There's high. I don't want to say high risk, low reward, but there's high risk, high reward, and stuff like that too. Where, you know, if you win, like you said, you do get the notoriety, that type of stuff. But does that help the people in California be able to find your stuff and things like that? You know, where that
that's true. You really got to look at it realistically in terms of like, okay, is this actually like widening my customer base? Is this really like, because if the demand for me like is already there, that's literally not even like, I got fucking a laundry list of dispensaries that have hit me up to you know, get my shit, but it's just I don't have anymore. You know, like, and I'm working with the places that I'm working with, and shit's good with them. You know, so I mean, and
once again, having more isn't the goal. You know, being able to eat, feed your family, live comfortably, get some financial freedom. That's a goal. You get what I'm saying? But
for sure,
I think that your passion for cannabis, you know, a lot of times I tell people money will follow passion in the end, bro.
Totally preach, dude.
Whenever you start working on your craft like that and like putting everything you have into it, like that's how a lot of these dudes are all the time. Like, who is that? Where? Whoa, where you get what I'm saying? Like,
so much of it is word of mouth, man.
You come on the scene, you blow up huge, and everyone then is like, all right, where's the fire? Where's the fire? Where's it at? Where are you getting at? Which dispo is that at? And I think that's one thing I noticed right off in the beginning about you guys. You don't even do your drops like, oh, here's the day. You were putting the time that shit hit the floor on that stuff, bro. That's insanity, bro.
It's just, you know, it's just trying to learn from it, man. Like, we got to the point where we were dropping them, and like, you know, I'm sitting there trying to like do garden work, and my fucking DM is just like blowing up with people being like, where is it? How do I get it? Where is it going? Like, and you know, some people are just really passionate about it. Like,
I'll apologize now.
Exactly. Like, I don't know, dude. Like, at the end of the day, and even in metric, dude, like when I go in and I try to look at where this stuff is, or if it's been accepted, I can't see like when it is actually on the floor, or like that exception date or whatever is not like, or the time stamp on it is not.
It's not always accurate, but I mean, it's been pretty damn close, and I think you've done a really good job at communicating with dispos what time it needs to be on the floor.
So now I've learned from that, because that, like I said, I was literally sitting in the fucking garden the one day, bro, and I'm like trying to take clones or something, and fucking my DM is just like going absolutely haywire, and I'm just like, fuck, dude, I'm having to communicate with all of these different people right now, and I have no idea how to even tell them when the shit's gonna be there. And then I've got people being like, oh, bro, I just drove 3 hours and it wasn't there, and I'm like, you did what? Like, that sucks, dude. Like, fuck. And then the people are not even going to put it out till the next day at the dispo. And I'm like, bro, like, oh,
bro, and it
so
hurts.
bad, you know, like,
being an out-of-stater, when you drive that far, it hurts. I won't throw shade, but I chased a pack. If you watch the other episodes, I've talked about this. I chased a pack for 6.5 hours not to get it, bro.
That's crazy.
And I am in the industry, knew when it was dropping, knew that it was on trucks before it was even at the store.
Yeah.
And still did not get it. Hit 3 stores.
That's fuck, dude.
And it's like, dude, it was on my day of work that I had gotten a half day from, and then I had to go back in that evening. So I spent the whole morning from when I woke up, like being out of dispo from when it opened, to then driving 6.5 hours to drive into my shift with no weed, and not even got back to the house for a sesh before my 8-hour shift.
Skunked.
So, like, trust me when I say I know how it feels when that happens, bro. That is the worst. But at the same point in time, it kind of takes me back to when we were kids, and we had to go through so much just to smoke a J.
Yeah.
Get out the house.
That's true.
Sneak
man.
into 100%. The woods. Come up with an excuse to go over to a friend's house. That way, you know you're gonna get way too baked. So like now it's like I gotta find a place to crash so mom and dad don't like all that. I remember like that struggle, and then when you got to smoke, it made it that much better. And in a sense, that's what a lot of this is. I mean, I know we want to be able to give everybody a jar. You get what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, like seeking after it builds not only, I think, the hype for the brand, obviously, but that enjoyment for the customer. And it makes the appreciation on the Pheno hit way different.
Oh, totally.
Like I said, I like the Scarcophagus.
Not something they can go to the store and just get it.
Right, bro. I like the Scarcophagus better than I did the Starberry, but I didn't have things I didn't appreciate about the Starberry. Because it's just, one's my terp profile and the other one is too, but the one was more. You know? Absolutely. So it's cool to see that. How do you choose Phenos and like when you're hunting this?
Okay. So
there's some big names on some of those packages.
Yeah,
from,
man.
Like,
shout out to my boy Bushwhacker out in New York. I've been doing everything with him in terms of like hunting. We've been going back and forth now for it's been over 1.5 years, I want to say. And
wow, so you guys are putting in time and effort together. That's awesome, bro.
It might even be longer than that right now, and my high ass just doesn't fucking even realize like how long it's actually been. But
potency on this, by the way, just so you know, obviously with it being older, I wondered if the CBN content wasn't going to pump up a little bit more. Eyelids
hits a little bit harder.
Eyelids are heavy. It's a little bit harder, bro.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
But your homie?
Yeah, Bushwhacker, man. He fucking this guy. You know, we were talking back in the day. I was just consulting type thing to begin with. Like that's how a lot of the relationships that I have right now, that are like very close people that I have that I've been working with, and the reasons that I've been like kind of leveling up with the business and stuff, started from the consulting thing. Really, to be honest, it's kind of a funny story because like the consulting thing was making me more money than the fucking growing.
So this is why you're saying it's literally a passion project at this point.
So, I was teaching people how to grow, you know, for all of that time, and a lot of that stuff was you know, recycled information, whether it be things that I was like kind of learning from other people, whether it be from like, dude, I learned so much from teaching other people. Yeah. It was wild. Like I would have access to a whole nother space that I didn't have, that I could ask questions about like certain variables and stuff like that. Yeah. So I learned so much from that, and it just kind of like pushed me to where I was, you know, grow knowledge wise, like exponentially, just a lot faster. So, I got to a certain point though, man, where like everybody wanted to know how to grow more. Everybody wanted to know how to fucking get their yields up and stuff like that. And like that's where the bulk of like where the questions were in things that I wasn't concerned with and I didn't resonate with. Yep. And it just like didn't feel right to me to just be like, all right, well, I gotta like, you know, talk about something that I've just, it's just not my fucking thing, you know, at the end of the day. So I really pulled back on the whole consulting thing, and I fucking dove into this whole nutrient thing, man. This shit was crazy. I mean, I fucked up some plants heavily.
Yeah.
Dude, like, I got into mixing my own nutrients from scratch, all the way down to the micros.
Oh, you went deep.
Oh, dude, it is super fucking technical. I mean, I'm hand mixing every single batch tank.
Still?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So I have stocks that I pull from, but I make the stocks too.
Yeah.
So it's super technical and really trying to like hone in on the smokability of things or whatever. But like, it was that kind of like made me break off of the consulting.
Okay.
To be honest, like we started to really hone in this recipe for what we have for nutrients, and people really wanted, you know, like it became something that was super sought after, and people were trying to like hop into my consulting just to get that. Like they wanted to basically like have the formula right away without doing any of the work, and it sucked because there was people that were in the earlier stages of that and had gone through the whole thing with me and had like, we had hardships together and stuff, you know, like we were learning, you know, along the way, all of us were, and we were all like doing it in our own individual gardens where like variables are just completely different from one garden to the next, and phenotypes and all that shit, you know. So it got to the point where people were wanting to like take the shit and like, you know, try to start nutrient companies and stuff like that, and like they asked me to do this stuff, and I'm like,
okay, I'm with you.
I just don't want to do that, you know, like that's not why I'm doing this.
It's good that you recognized your passion right off the bat. I feel like a lot of people would have got lost in the sauce right there.
Yeah, no, it could have been a big fucking paycheck for sure, like I'm sure, and it still could be to this day, but it's like this is the furthest thing from my fucking mind is trying to do something like that. It's purely for me trying to figure out how to hone in on all of the things that I've come to know make good weed, you know, and like the reasons that like the weed is smooth, the reasons that the flavor is translating all the way through to the end, the reasons that it's not like planty and has this weird like aftertaste and background noise and stuff like that. Like,
I hate background noise.
Hey man,
I hate background noise, especially in rosin.
Yeah.
It's a pet peeve.
Mm-hmm.
It's a huge pet peeve. What do you think is, I mean, you're talking about all your experience right now, man, and I know you've seen like a lot of different grows and like that type of stuff. So what do you think is the most common problem that people have when they're, you know, growing? And I know you've seen a lot, and that's a lot to generalize, but
trying to lean too much on the data.
Ooh, okay. Not on the plant?
Yeah.
Okay,
like,
that makes sense.
Trying to just be like paying attention to the fucking graphs too much and shit. Like, yes, these variables, you need to take them into account, but like if you don't know what's going on with the basic fundamentals of the plant and like its water uptake and like nutrients and stuff like that, like how you know, light intensity plays into it, how those extremes kind of play into it, you know, and getting that consistency, like I think that's probably one of the biggest things, is that people are watching other people on Instagram and they're saying, oh, I'm running XYZ variables, so they just try to like match those variables, and they're not even fucking looking at the plants half the time because they're just like obsessed with what they see on the screen, but then their plants don't end up looking like those things on the screen because you're missing other factors. There's so many fucking variables in growing, dude.
I feel like that's the case with school. Mm-hmm. You know, like, yes, school can teach you a lot. You can learn a lot from school, but you got to get out in the real world and put that stuff to application, or, you know, learn some more outside what they teach you. I didn't get taught how to do my taxes in school, and I'm sure as a business owner yourself, you know how that goes. So, like,
100%. That's part of why, like, I have a 4-year-old son, and we're not doing like the whole public school thing and stuff. Like, I just have zero faith in like how I came up in like school and stuff, like the stuff that I remember, you know.
I mean, this is a question that I always got asked a lot about because I have family that homeschools as well. I'm always curious from family to family, different perspective. How do you feel with like social aspects
I feel like that's one of the things that a lot of people kind of hone in on, and it's one of those things that it really just comes down to the parents and who you're exposing your kid to, because like at the end of the day, you know, socialization in a public school form is you're just throwing them into the fucking water.
It can be detrimental.
Like, hey, there might be sharks out there, but fucking go,
Run
you
at
know,
it.
like, yeah. So I don't know, man. It's
going to a small school myself, I understand this argument.
yeah.
So
I bet. Yeah, you said 4 people.
yeah, 4 people in my graduating class. So I wasn't homeschooled, but very, very close to it. Every single one of my teachers I went to church with. And we're like on the worship team, and I played guitar for the worship team. So like, you know, it was, you know, Mrs. So and so on one day, and then the next day it was her, you know, full name. But you know, when you're in the classroom, it's got to be proper. Wow. So, dude,
that's nuts, dude.
It was wild. It was wild, but I got away with a lot because it was so small. I think.
Okay. That's
the bad part is like anytime they smelled weed, they seriously would like think a skunk or an animal had died. Like,
they didn't even think it was weed.
Just... No, because there was like a crawl space. They're like, oh, something's dead underneath there, you know, and like, I have to send somebody under there if it don't stop. And then of course the next day it's gone. They're like, but around lunchtime they're like, how's it back?
It's too good, man. Holy shit. No. Small town shit.
Yeah, no, really, no, for sure. But I totally get that aspect. I'm glad to hear that that's the case, because a lot of people I feel like almost can psych themselves out worrying about that. It's like, bro,
yeah,
it's
and
really...
we have a group that we take them to. It's like we call it Forest School, basically, because we're up in the middle of the fucking Manistee National Forest or whatever, and you know. It's awesome. I mean, we as a group of kids, you know, that are kind of around the same age or whatever, go on hikes and shit out in the middle of the woods, and like we learn about like, you know, the herbs and stuff like that and all the plants, and like just try to teach them about life, you know, like a lot of it is just like that socialization. Like that's the main reason that we go is because we want him to have access to, you know, seeing other kids.
He's got to have friends, bro. Right, exactly.
He's got his cousins and stuff. Like we're very, very family oriented, you know, that's people awesome, and stuff. Bro. Like we spend a lot of time with our family and stuff. So, you know, he's got very close cousins too. He's actually over there right now. So
that's awesome. Yeah, that's one thing I will say about not being in Indiana. That stuff kind of sucks because
you're far away from your family.
Yeah, and my family's like super tight knit. There's a lot of us, but like whenever like Christmas and Thanksgiving and all that stuff happens and whatnot, like we're all in the like packed in the same tiny house. You get what I'm saying, and whatnot. And now it's like, man, sometimes I got to work at the dispo and then try to fly down there and that type of stuff. So
is it like how far of a drive is it?
It's not terrible. I thankfully only moved up to Kazoo because it's 2 hours and like 30 minutes basically.
That's still fucking like anything within an hour is like easily doable, but like you pushing 2 then to 3, like it's tough, man. Like
my worry before moving up here, my grandma was sick. And she passed, but my worry before moving up here was I wanted to be close enough to Fort Wayne's hospital that by the time my family got there, I could also be there. So like that made it nice, and also still gives me peace of mind because Wabash and that area's hospital is so small. If anything major happens, they take them straight to Fort Wayne. So it's like gave me a little bit more peace of mind.
That's cool.
But, bro, we're smoking on. Sorry to switch topics just real quick, but we're smoking on some fire flower. I see you have some rosin that just hit.
Yeah.
So.
Want to check that out?
You have some?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yes I do. While you're doing that, grabbing that, I'm gonna crack this one because I want to smell the nose. That taste was amazing.
Yeah. Bro. It's wild, isn't it? So it's a pretty
good.
It's
sweet.
Yeah, it is sweet.
Wow.
I don't quote me on this. I don't know if I should say this because it's not gonna drop as cheddar Z.
We can always edit anything out. So.
I'll have to ask my buddy Bushwhacker if it's okay because we go through these things.
Like I said, I'll send this to you on an upload link. You guys will watch it all the way through the week before it even drops. So anything you want to cut, we're good.
It always just because of like. It's it's one of those things right now, you know, like if you've got things that are, you know, hype and hitting and stuff, everybody wants to jump on what you're fucking doing. So, you know, like we a lot of the stuff like the Cheddar Z and stuff, like when we're on like the tail end of the pheno hunt, that's when we'll start talking about like our genetics that we've got going into it and stuff, just because like if we do it too early, somebody else could just fucking buy those same beans and pop them in and just fucking
start doing
replicate the shit or try to, you know,
start
like
calling it the same shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but he came up with his fucking name, Sweet Jesus, and I was like,
oh my god,
isn't that fucking great, dude?
Okay, so this is back to the small town shit for a second. Growing up in that like church and like school type vibe, you know. We had one of our teachers out one day, and he was chilling with us, and he was also our youth pastor. We had gone out to Walmart to pick up some stuff.
Okay.
And one of those things we were picking up was a cheese platter. And he saw it and yelled out, "Oh my cheeses!" But like some of the people in the group heard Jesus, and they thought he had just taken the Lord's name in vain, bro. Like, this is the youth pastor. You get what I'm saying? Okay. So, Sweet Jesus is awesome, bro. I love that, bro. That is so dope. I can't wait to see the artwork that would come from that, too, bro. I'm sure you guys have already been getting the wheels
Well, I do all the design work and stuff for all my jars. To be honest, it's quite difficult because, like, you know, I had an artist that I was working with for quite a while, and then when I kind of started switching up and going into the Myron jars, the Sake Bomb was the last one that I used him for, and then I kind of switched up and went more towards leaning on the typography a little bit more and just having more just background images and stuff like that.
Which I think brings out like the name and like makes it appeal more to than just a lot of distracting stuff going on.
It's you know, a lot of the things that I watch other people do in terms of, you know, the better brands and stuff, I notice the same things, you know, like a lot of them are kind of minimal in terms of the design. There's not a ton of colors going on, you know, type thing. It's not like confusing to look at. You know, and I really like where everything's gone with them. It's just one of those things like having to do all that stuff while the grow is all going on and stuff is fucking, it gets to the point where it's like, so I have had to use like AI and stuff to help me make some of these images.
There's no shame in that.
So like
AI's okay. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Why not?
I know. It's just one of those things like when there's artists available and stuff like that, like I want to be able to work with an artist for stuff like that, but on that tail end of like, you know, relaunching the brand and kind of changing all of this branding around, you know, like, you know, things, like I said, man, weren't fucking good there for a while. So like, I don't really have a bunch of extra money to be doing any of that kind of stuff. You know, like,
I don't think there's any like thing against that. I'm all for supporting local artists.
Yeah.
But I think the AI, what it's going to move into is like artists are going to become more like you were and doing consulting.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, this AI image is really, really good. Let me take it in. You get what I'm saying?
Dude.
And actually like,
That's tough.
not only
Because that's probably true.
not only like make sure that the graphics are all ready for print and vectorized, so if you want to blow it up to be billboard size, you can. They're going to do all that type of work and streamline that process, as with pick up the stuff that AI is not going to be able to do.
Yeah.
Or be like, all right, you gave me your idea, because that's what's really good, is you're able to take an idea, give it your thoughts, meaning AI, and it spit out images.
It's wild.
And then you're like, all right, this is what I'm looking for. And then that artist can take that whole thing and give his perspective now on art versus just trying to use his brain to understand yours.
Because you still got to have the idea.
Exactly. Like, it all is a seed that
gets
is
the art,
from
really.
somewhere.
Like,
yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Like that, at the very foundation of it, that is what the art is. So, I mean, yeah, man, I went to, you know, a little bit of school for like graphic design and stuff like that. So, you know, the Illustrator and stuff is what I work on. And
best program to be doing the AI with anyway, as well as just graphic design work in general, bro.
Yeah.
it's crazy how like you can take an image. So what I do, you know, for a lot of these things is like, you know, AI is not going to spit out what you want right away or whatever. So it just takes a lot of refining, you know, like going through like for these starberries for the strawberry coffins on here. You know, I had to go through and do an iteration of that like so many times to get it to actually be kind of where I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
You know, and then bringing it into Illustrator and, you know, mapping out all the lines and stuff like that and doing the line work and then having your own true vector of it or whatever is it's cool. It's cool that I have that ability to do that. I feel like it's wild to me that I've kind of been able to use that skill. I never thought that I was really going to use any of that stuff once I started getting into the weed. But then, like I said, man, this branding thing is just like,
it's everything.
It's fucking everything, dude. Like, if you don't have a brand, like when I just wasn't branded, you know, everybody is getting the same fucking price. You're not gonna get some crazy price if there's no brand associated with it. It's just bottom of the line. Fucking, you're kind of capped at like, I don't know, probably like 1,600, something like that. I would say 16, 18 is probably the absolute max that you're gonna get. I can't see you getting two.
Nah, if it's coming in turkey bags or just even like regular locks. I mean,
yeah.
I hate to say it.
I mean, you still got a brand behind it at the end of the day. I mean, usually, you know, like the grow itself has a brand. So some of that work can be, you know, branded or whatever without actually having the packaging in a sense. But I think that that's probably the max that you're going to get is for that type of deal is like a well-known brand that's, you know, in turkeys or whatever. And I see people doing that. Like I said, man, fucking shout out Dylan, Mint Master over there, fucking doing his thing at Favored.
Yeah. No, facts.
Fucking killing it, dude.
Facts.
Like
big facts.
There's a lot of people out here that are fucking killing it, and a lot of people that deserve props. Fucking, you know, like Chocolate.
I was just about to say, shout out High Tech.
Yeah, shout out them.
Their packs are the only packs that I will say are distracting, but in a way that I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it reminds me of like that 70s, 80s, like...
Yeah, dude.
You know,
yeah,
like
dude. He said he was an 80s baby, man.
Yeah, like Pit Vipers, you get what I'm saying? Just like...
He's the man, dude. Like,
the commercial they did the other day.
Oh, dude. Killing it, dude. I'd say fucking absolutely killing it, dude. Like, Chocolate, his personality is just fucking, like, infectious, dude.
No, for sure, for sure. He's definitely one of those people that... if you're in the industry or even if you're not, he's a fun guy to just be around and he'll make you laugh. That's for sure. 100%. And he likes good weed, so that's a plus too.
I started talking to that fool like back way before I even knew who the fuck he was, dude. Like, it was wild. We were talking on Instagram and like just shooting the shit, you know, like back when I was like heavy into the consulting stuff and didn't even really have a brand or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, we were just shooting the shit about GrowTech. And then at one point one day, it got brought up that he was the owner of High Tech, and I was like,
"What?
You own fucking High Tech, dude?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't know, who knows?" And I was like, "Dude, you fucking just didn't. You failed to mention that, like, oh shit." Yeah, he's good people though. No, yeah, it's cool to see. Like I said, man, a lot of the people are stepping it up. I mean, the quality, you know, there's still a lot to be desired in terms of the quality of in terms of a lot of the people, but there are the select brands that are really stepping it up, and shout out to all them. I mean, there's too many to fucking name.
No,
you know,
really.
To be honest, like the people who are actually like passionate about it, and you see it, you know, spilling over, and people doing pheno hunting and shit. Shout out to everybody doing pheno hunting and stuff, like trying to make your own thing. Like, I really do fully believe that that's the fucking way to go. You know, like you've got to have your own thing going on. You know, like if everybody's kind of growing the same thing, unfortunately, like I think that there's very few people out there that can really like say that they will have enough of a difference in quality for somebody to seek out that type of thing that they can get somewhere else. Yep. So I think that if you've got your own type of thing going on, you know, like obviously that's a play for like the more volume oriented side of things. And like I said, you know, my whole thing is fucking, you know, small, trying to fucking
keep the absolute utmost quality type thing. So I just really resonate with the people that are fucking pheno hunting, man. It's like, it's a labor of love. It takes a long fucking time, and you know, and what sucks too is like I said, back to the branding thing, is if you don't have it branded right, and it's not gonna do it justice, you know. Like, I think that a lot of the growers need to step it up in terms of their branding. There's some dope brands here for sure, don't get me wrong, but I think that they're leaving a lot on the table when it comes to that.
They are. I've been preaching this since I got up here.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing you do really well on social media, is at least interact with the people.
Yeah, you got to be, man. Like,
I mean, dude, I know your DMs are flooded.
yeah, as always. I mean, especially with these fucking hoodies right now. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. And trust me when I say I know how that goes. And there is just like, it's like, how do you answer all of it?
To be honest, I'm always working. Shout out to my wife for putting up with me when it comes to that, because my brain doesn't really shut off.
To be honest, if it weren't for this right here, my brain would literally never
You'd be on
shut
your phone.
off. I mean, I mean, like, yeah, but like, I mean, even more than that, just like mentally, dude, you know, like when you're checked out, thinking about what the fuck you're doing, you know, like, I'm not in that moment, you know, like,
I get that. It's like being a deer in headlights a lot of the times, bro. You've got 100 irons in the fire, and it's like, which one do I put out first? This is the only thing that honestly is like, all right, one step in front of the other.
100%. It makes me a better dad. Like, I know that for sure, because
that's awesome
it makes
to hear,
me
bro.
Step back and be like, all right, no, I gotta fucking, you know,
I gotta take
time and shit, you know. Like,
you know, I gotta take time. I get to take time. You know, that type of stuff, bro. Makes you appreciate. Kind of. I tell people it makes me take time. Excuse me, to smell the roses. When a lot of the times I'm just so, you know, everything's going on. It's a nightmare.
You gotta live in. It makes you live in the moment a little bit more, right? You know,
facts, like, big facts.
Because you can go. I saw this one the other day. It was a fucking image of like, my brain normally, and it had like 1,000 things on this circle. It was like a pie chart with like 1,000 things, and then my brain on weed, and it was like 4 things.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, that fucking hit so hard for me. I was like, my thought process goes down from like my entire fucking business and every little aspect of what's going on in it, and obviously what's going on with my life and schedule and stuff too, and that's the stuff that's just constantly going, but it just shrinks it right back down to like, what are you looking at right now? Like, what's in front of your eyes right now? You know, like, it's, I don't know, man. Without it, it would be, I'd probably not be as good of a person, I feel like.
I get that. No, facts out for me, at least. The jars, bro. I know one thing you guys are super, super open about is, like, the lineage and all that stuff. A big thing up here in the Michigan market is the rename game.
Ooh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
How or what was the thought process with you guys? Because I know, like, obviously when you're coming up with different phenos, right? You gotta come up with 2 different names. So what's that process like for you guys when you're doing that type of stuff? Because you do it a lot, and I love it.
Yeah.
Like the cherry limetta being like, even
same
like
lineage from the same pack of beans.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy. So it's happened twice now. So the Lubega and the Cherry Limetta are literally from the same pack of beans, 2 completely different phenos. They grow completely different. They smell completely different. They smell completely different.
Dude, like wildly different.
Insane.
Yeah.
From the same pack of beans. And I really feel like it was just one of those things where, like, I mean, if you got some that are fucking fire, dude, like, and you know people are going to like it, like, and it smokes great and everything, and it's checking all the fucking boxes, it's like, all right, I'm going to fucking drop these both, I guess. The first time that I did it, I was kind of like, fuck, I was very skeptical. I was like, I don't know if this is going to be well received, you know, I don't know if people are going to think that it's the same thing, you know, because it's got the same lineage or whatnot, you know, and for people to understand the difference in a phenotype is kind of difficult for the average consumer, I feel like. You know,
for sure.
It's just one of those things that's kind of a little bit at a higher level of education, you know, when it comes to them. So
it was hard for me to understand until somebody told me, it's like, bro, parents. Like, if you have a sister, it's like having the same parents, but you're going to come out completely different than your other sibling. And even in identical twins, like there is still small differences. So like that's literally what's happening here.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
It's 100% what it is.
Okay, cool.
That's exactly what it is. I mean, in all of these strains that we're working with nowadays, like most people that are working with newer lineages and newer lines that have been worked in, I mean, there's shit that goes back. I mean, they could pick fucking genotypes from way back in the lineage, dude. Like, you could pick one thing from really recently, and then the other side of it could go way back into the lineage, and you just have no idea what that blend is going to be, and it's literally like a fingerprint. So
That's
I always related to like
about it. Yeah.
I relate it to like Pokemon cards, to be honest. Like, if you're finding like a good Pheno, it's like finding a holographic Charizard.
Yeah,
like,
bro, absolutely.
It's fucking, you're not, I mean,
it's rare.
Yeah, it's rare.
Yeah.
It is. And which is crazy to get two fucking gems out of the same pack, you know, like.
Are those two going to stick around for a while?
Yeah, man,
Thank
for
God.
sure. The Lubega is probably going to be seeing a little bit more of the spin cycle. Going to be washing her a little bit more. The Lametta, I kind of want to try to wash it, but I've been doing some tactile testing and jar testing and stuff like that, and it just doesn't look super promising, so.
Yeah, no, I understand.
It's one of those things with hash, like if it doesn't return to a certain amount, then it literally is not even worth doing. You're literally losing money on doing it.
A lot of money too. Yeah. Not just like, oh, we're losing 100, 200 bucks. No, you're losing like thousands.
Yeah.
It's insanity. Yeah, no, that's wild to think about, bro. I've always wondered which ones you're going to keep around, that type of stuff. I've seen some new stuff pop up on Instagram. We were talking about the rosin there earlier.
Yeah. Did you check?
No. Let's check it out. Now these are not. We'll say you can't find these anywhere.
No, those are from the personal grow. So did those through Baked Taters. Actually washed those.
Shout out Baked Taters.
Yeah. Shout out Baked Taters. Shout the fuck out to them, to be honest, because working with them was fucking crazy, dude. Like, Courtney is, I guess I shouldn't probably say names, maybe.
All good. Bleep, bleep, bleep. Nothing was said there.
Yep. Great.
Homegirl was.
Yeah, Homegirl is a fucking G, and through every step of the process, just super knowledgeable. Completely the opposite of gatekeeping, like just absolutely spilling her heart out when it came to like any questions that I had. And I had a lot of questions because like she was open with shit. So I was like, from a cultivator side of things, you know, like I'm not a hash maker. So there's a lot of things that she's going to know and see that I'm not going to see. So, you know, just trying to, you know, gain a lot of that information, man. Like I learned so fucking much just from that one wash. Things that I can do, things that I can do in the harvest, part of the harvesting and stuff like that. Like,
so they really opened the floodgates on you guys. And it was just like, yo, hey,
yeah,
here's what's up. Here's what you can even do next round.
Totally. And it's cool because I think that it's just because of their genuine love for hash, dude. Like, they're fucking always going out to like all these different events. Like, they were just out at Smoking Jacket, I think. They fucking were out at Culture Cup. Fucking... If they weren't at one of those, my bad. But
those guys literally, you see their Instagram, if you look at it, and it's like they're almost in two places at once.
They are killing it. It's wild, man. The fact that they're getting out to all those things is just badass, and it just shows the passion. It's just at the end of the day, like they're doing that because they want to learn more. They're genuinely curious, you know, and they genuinely want to continue to try to make better products at the end of the day. And that's like my whole thing too, is like, and I resonated with that so well because like I don't ever think that in my lifetime we're ever gonna see the peak of quality. I think there is so much that we can do with this fucking plant, and that we've literally just barely scratched the surface, dude. Like,
that's an interesting perspective that you give, because I will say that I've had the same, let's say, assumption, and people appear to have preached me and told me I'm wrong, and I don't think that that's the case whatsoever. I think it's going to get so standardized, maybe not in our lifetime, but that there'll be a whole aisle for it at Walmart one day.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, just like there is alcohol.
Yeah.
And
I hope it gets to the point where it's treated as alcohol, because it should be. I mean, at the end of the day.
I do, and I also don't, because I feel like a lot of times there's comparisons that are made then for alcohol and weed.
True.
That can be detrimental to people who have or use cannabis for medical purposes.
True.
And that's where, like, we have to ride that fine line of, like,
because
how
if
much
you're
do we
giving
want to take?
What I was saying is more towards, like, giving into the side of regulation.
I agree.
Like, that side of things, like, if it was treated like it on that side of things, then I feel like it almost spills over into the other side. But that stigma and everything it's carried with alcohol and, like, how it's treated, you know, just because of, you know, DUIs and all that kind of shit, like, can ruin people's lives. I mean, especially for, you know, cannabis. So,
which I'm agreeant with. Don't drive absolutely plastered whatsoever. If you're too fucked up and you know you're too fucked up, stay where you're at or find a place to pull over.
100%.
And then get in the passenger seat. Say the person who's driving left you. But oh, bro.
Oh shit.
Is that,
which one is this?
That's a Pink Panther.
I was gonna say I felt like I could taste that.
You can taste the trop in it.
Yeah, this translation was great.
No, and I thought the ash on it was all good, bro. The oil ring on that thing was fire. Smoked smooth.
Smooth is super smooth.
Very, very, very happy with that batch. I was like, Mario, that's a keeper.
Sweet.
Bro. The look on this is insanity for one, but the smell, bro. I remember whenever I first tried this flower.
Yeah.
Bro, that is...
Pulled it through.
Yeah. Like wild.
I like the Starberry the best, to be honest.
Okay, and that's one thing we talked about. So I noticed whenever I burned the Starberry at a lower temp, and whenever I used it through a dry herb vape, I got the most insane flavor that I had whenever I rolled like a log like that. And I knew then, I was like, I wonder if that shit ain't gonna wash like a motherfucker.
You weren't the only one. People were fucking hyped on that shit. Like,
oh, yeah. No. Literally, you open the jar, there's a terp pool. Bro. I want to live in there. This is why we need smell-o-vision, bro.
That shit is nice.
Dude, this is insanity.
That's the last of my shit, too, dude. I smoked through so much of that Starberry. It was stupid of me.
That was one of those things. It was like, all right, well, it's here, and it was a while before I was gonna be able to like get it to where else it was going and shit. So I had access to too much of it too long.
Yeah.
And I fucking just went hard on it.
That's
a lot of that went into my lungs. I apologize that it didn't get out to everyone else.
What's that about? Getting high on your own supply or some shit like that, right?
It happens.
Fuck it. It is what it is. We all do it. Especially when the shit's fire, bro.
Yeah.
I have a hard time. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. When you're buying stuff like this, and it's like, all right, I can pick up 1 or 2 jars. I'm the type of person that's like, all right, I'm gonna buy 4 and 2 are going in deep freeze for a very long time. Because honestly, you know how cool I think it would be from 5 years from now to bring that first wash of Lubega and be like, bro, here's an uncracked jar of this. Let's take a dab. I think that would be like so cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm getting the owner high on his own supply, but from like a reserve that they may not even have or remember type shit.
That would be sweet.
So that's where I'm the same way. When I'm buying it, I can tuck it away, but if it's like personal and it's good and I know I'm supposed to like get some samples out too, it's like, all right, let me get the samples. I'm gonna sit this over to the side and then this is mine. And it's like, oh, nope, there, it's gone in a week. You know?
Never fails. Never fails.
Bro.
And I got so these are some of the newer batches.
Let me set this over here.
Panda, Lametta, Sarcophagus. This is what's dropping.
The jars look different.
Mid-October. So I am using Sticky Trap now.
Yeah, that's what you were saying. I like.
So it went from matte to hollow.
I like it though. You know what I like about it? Just as a graphic designer myself.
What?
Your verbiage on
is more legible.
It's legible.
Yeah.
I can read it really, really well.
Because I think that there was a problem too. Like part of this
was supposed to be embossed or something, but wasn't. And
regardless, this is incredible, bro. I love this. And the color on it, too, from the matte to this, translated well to, like, that orange. Like, it really looks like, you know, that old style.
Next time we got to get the... Because I went through and individually raised a lot of these areas, but that didn't come through on that one. But on the next iteration, we got to nail that down. But the guys over at Sticky Trap are cool. They've done fucking... the biggest thing with the Sticky Trap guys, actually, is hilarious. It's the fucking lids. You know, the lids on these ones, you see there's fucking bubbles. And, bro,
there's
when I
none
tell
on
you
these.
that this shit right here was the bane of my existence, I fucking...
Yeah, because you can push it down, but it just creates another one somewhere, doesn't it?
No, dude, it's fucking...
And then
it even happened on the front ones, too. Like, on this one I saw, there's fucking wrinkles all in this.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying.
Pisses me off, because I'm like, I'm spending... I mean, these fucking jars...
It's not cheap.
Plus the labels, I mean, it's fucking like $7, $7.50 a pop, you know, like...
Yeah.
And then people are spending fucking like 3 cents on a Mylar
I was about to say the comparison of that is insane.
Wild.
But fire's got to be stored correctly.
Oh, 100%. I'm not complaining at all. Like,
no,
but that it's one of those things. You're like, all right, well, I'm spending all this money. It needs to look right. And the bubbling. So going from high caliber to going to Sticky Trap, they were able to work that out. So there's absolutely no bubbling on the lids. Fire?
Bro.
Yeah.
Okay, so you probably read, in my first review, I said the lime came through a little bit more for me.
Yeah.
And this one, I'm getting a super smooth lime, but it's like a deep cherry.
Yeah, on the back end, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Dude, that's wild. It's crazy to, like I said, know like the variation of one to the other. It's just... This is something I enjoy doing. Yeah. Is like, people are like, I get tired of smoking the same shit. I want something new. I'll give me a flavor pack. It's like, no, I like smoking this stuff and like seeing how it progresses. I think that's connoisseur, but that's a lime. Yeah. That is sick, bro. Am I tripping? Or is there like a pattern on the Panda? Or is it just black?
No, there's absolutely nothing in the background. Okay. That's just the way that I love the way that the fucking flat falls on like a Myron. Like,
I was gonna say it's the lights. It's making it just pop.
I think it's because of the hollow that's behind it or whatever. It kind of gives it this texture when it's printed on.
That's cool, bro. That is.
Yeah.
That is straight Z,
bro. Really nice, dude. Especially at this time, like I said, it's a little bit earlier on in the year, so it's not leaning as heavy on the Sherbanger side of things. So it's really nice when you get some Panda that's super fresh like that.
The last one I had, that one was like more of a sharp Z.
Yeah. Yep.
This one is like a smooth, sweet Z, straight up. Yeah, no, that's incredible, bro. For sure. Dude, where can people find you at?
So right now, I mean, my website is the place to go to just check on stock. I update that weekly. I'm in pretty close contact with all the stores and stuff like that. I try to really be involved as much as I can be when it comes to all that stuff, because I see that a lot of the issues with customers being able to get their hands on stuff, or problems that I see with other people's businesses, is because they kind of fall short on that. I think that being heavily involved and like being able to actually be accessible to the customers, stuff like that, to like have that conversation, like that's huge. So right now I'm in all the Dune Grass locations. Those motherfuckers are awesome. Shout out to all of them. It's wild to see that fucking good quality weed is moving in northern Michigan. In the middle of fucking nowhere. Some of these places, dude, are like way up by me. They're like past me, you know, like, I mean, fucking Marquette, you know, like that's in the UP. Like, the UP is kind of heady, dude. Like up north is kind of heady, low key, man. Like it's wild. I
want to take some ski trips up there this year. So dude. Hopefully I can find some good fire up there. I'll be looking for it for sure.
They got two locations in TC now too, Traverse City. So
Oh, yeah.
Badass. One's like fucking right on Front Street, dude. It's badass. It's like right next to this thing called the Little Fleet. Have you ever heard of that? It's like a parking lot where they park a whole bunch of food trucks. Yeah,
Holy
it's sweet.
cow.
They got like a bar in there and shit too. But yeah, it's dope as fuck. So Dune Grass, Oldswell, Grand Rapids, and Adrian, Cake House, Battle Creek, and Lansing for now, and Butter in Ann Arbor and Berkeley and 315 North in Inkster. It's
right on, bro.
Pretty much where everything has been getting dropped. Like I said, a couple of those might be subject to change at some point, so keep an eye on the website.
Website's the best place.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't get banned on your own website.
Yeah, I mean, I would say go to the Instagram, and the Instagram is up, and it's cool as of now, but like I got fucking 20 some odd marks or some shit on my account, so you know how that goes. It could be one day to the next, you have no idea, so.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's Lost Leaf MI on Instagram, and I usually just stick to stories, dude. I really don't even like do a lot of posts just because
it's the way to do it, bro.
Yeah, I feel like kind of tightens down the engagement a little bit, makes people kind of want to seek it out a little bit more, and just easier for them to stay updated on it, you know, type thing. So
I'm sure it floods your inbox too.
Oh, it does. It does. It's absolutely, like I said, it's been interesting to see how things have changed too, from like, because like I said, I was on the consulting side of things. Now I'm on the brand side of things. So like a lot of early on, it was all like growers, and that's all that would fucking ever hit me up. And now I've got a decent mix, at least, of like,
algorithms starting to change.
Yeah,
Tide's starting to change. That's awesome, bro. Well, dude, I appreciate you, Matt, for being on. Guys, thank you for watching this episode of The Gas Station, and we'll catch you next week.